Looking good, my dude. Happy St. Patrick's Day. What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from Project Ellsworth, and I am back with you today to give you my review of the 1993 Mark Jones film, Leprechaun. Oh, boy. That's too small. So our story begins with a little guy, or a leprechaun, admiring his gold, and you hear him say, "Try as they will, try as they might, he who steals my gold will not live through the night." Something like that. And now we meet a guy named Daniel O'Grady. He's visibly drunk, and he's telling his wife they no longer have to worry about anything, they no longer have to work. I chased down a leprechaun, caught him, and made him tell me where his pot of gold was. I have been drunk in my day. I ain't never been that drunk. Next we see Mrs. O'Grady out in the kitchen making tea. Suddenly she hears a child's voice singing coming out of Dan's suitcase. So naturally she goes in the other room, pops open the suitcase, and out comes a leprechaun. He sends Mrs. O'Grady down the basement steps backwards to her demise, and then he says, "No problem. I smell some tea brewing. You have got to teach me that accent." So Dan comes home and he hears his wife's voice out in the kitchen, only it's not his wife, it's a tea-toting leprechaun. Really, this is absolutely silly. So Dan grabs a gun and a 4-leaf clover and chases the leprechaun down into the basement, where the leprechaun uses Dan's dead wife and impersonates her voice to tell him, "Give back the gold." No, his wife didn't sound like that. So then Dan shoots the leprechaun, picks him up, and stuffs him inside of a wooden crate. He nails the crate shut, takes the 4-leaf clover, sticks it on top of the crate, then pours gasoline all over the crate, and just when he's about to strike the match to set the crate on fire and kill the leprechaun, Dan has a stroke and passes out on the floor, leaving the leprechaun alive and well inside of this crate. Now we jump ahead 10 years and we see Jennifer Aniston and her father driving up to this old house in the middle of nowhere in their Jeep. They go into the house, they immediately go down into the basement where they find a crate covered in cobwebs with a 4-leaf clover sitting on top of it. Yeah, you know where this is going. So I was able to avoid watching this movie for 27, 28 years, something like that. Believe it or not, this is the first time I ever watched this thing. Alright, I guess I'll start with the cast. First you got Ken Olant. He's the token good-looking guy that you've seen him in a million different things, but you never know his name and you never could put a finger on where you saw him before. And then you got Mark Holton. He's the guy who always plays the stereotypical overweight dumb guy in all these kind of movies, who again, you've seen him a million times in a million different things, but you can never quite put your finger on where you saw him before. And then there's this kid named Robert Gorman. He looks just like the kid that was in Poltergeist, although I know it's not him. He looked just like him to me. Then you have Jennifer Aniston. We all know Jennifer Aniston. And then you got the leprechaun himself, Warwick Davis. He is seemingly the busiest little person in Hollywood. He did a whole bunch of these Leprechaun movies. He was in a whole handful of Star Wars movies. He was in a bunch of Harry Potter movies. And if you look at his IMDb page, it's pretty impressive how many other movies and TV shows that this guy's been in. I mean, I guess the cast was okay. I think they all did a fine enough job. I think that Mr. and Mrs. O'Grady were a little bit over the top and a little bit too Irish, if you ask me. But I think the cast overall was fine. I mean, they did what they were expected to do. I don't think that this movie was written or produced or created or directed with any intentions of anybody winning any Oscars here. So if you go into this with an open mind and an understanding of what you're getting ready to watch, these guys did a fine job. As far as any effects that were in this movie, the effects in here, both practical and CGI, were minimal. I would say there's zero CGI in this movie. You got a couple little green sparkly things of things moving around, floating, appearing, disappearing. It just the green flashes of light, that don't qualify as CGI to me. And as far as the practical effects go, you see a little bit of blood. You see some dude get like pogo sticked to death. You see a couple cops' faces getting ripped apart by the Leprechaun, but there really wasn't a whole lot to speak of here. The real star, as far as any kind of effects or makeup goes, is Gabriel Bartalos. That's the man that was responsible for doing the makeup on the Leprechaun, and I gotta tell you that the Leprechaun looked pretty darn awesome. I would have to assume that about 95% of this film's budget was on that Leprechaun's face. As far as the story is concerned, I think it's exactly what you would think it would be. It was exactly what I thought it would be. Somebody steals a leprechaun's gold, and the leprechaun wants his gold back. It sincerely is that simple. This movie did teach me a couple things about leprechauns, though. One, leprechauns are afraid of four-leaf clovers. I had no idea. I don't know why. And number two, leprechauns make and repair shoes? How the hell don't I know that? Alright, so my feelings overall on Leprechaun. I avoided watching this movie for 27 or 28 years. Believe it or not, I have never seen this movie until this morning. I thought that this movie looked silly. I thought it seemed silly. I didn't care that Jennifer Aniston was in it, and when this came out, I didn't know who that was. There was no reason whatsoever for me to watch this movie. And now that I have watched this movie, it was every bit as silly and ridiculous as I thought it was going to be, but I must admit, I actually did enjoy it. This is really good. This is the type of movie where if you want to sit down and completely turn your brain and thought process off and simply have a good time watching a ridiculous movie, Leprechaun is the movie that you are looking for. So for me, the bottom line is Leprechaun is pretty ridiculous, but in a good way.
Pack it up, pack it in, let me begin. I came to win, battle me, that's a sin. I won't ever slack up, punk, you better back up. Try and play the role and you're the whole crew will act up.
Do me a favor and leave me some comments down below and let me know what you think of Leprechaun. And also let me know if the further installments, what's there, 137 of these movies, let me know down in the comments also if any of those additional, those are called sequels, if any of the sequels to this movie are as good as this movie is, or what your feelings overall for the franchise are. Just let me know. I'm probably not going to watch Leprechaun 2 until St. Patrick's Day 2022. That's the plan anyway. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Happy St. Patrick's Day, my brother.